Welcome to the Red Story. If you like the story, subscribe or like it. It's not difficult, thank you. My wife and I have been together for 5 years, married for 4. We get known each other for years prior. We have one kid together who is 4. I am the primary breadwinner in the house as she is a stay-at-home mom, SOM. It was her choice not to go back to work. For the last year and a half, we have been having arguments about 1 to 2 times a month. To be clear, I do help out with our daughter, I clean, cook, and am involved with both of them. The first time she said she wanted a divorce was when we got into an argument when my sister called and asked if she could stay with us for a bit, as she was having relationship problems. Ironic. I said she could. My wife was not happy about that. I pointed out that her friend stayed with us a couple of months prior for 5 weeks, and didn't do anything around the house. Plus, she was just there. No discussion, no nothing. She was a stranger to me and my daughter. My sister is lovely and has a great relationship with our daughter, and I thought my wife was as well. She ended up staying with us for a week, helping out around the house, cooking, cleaning, and watching our daughter when needed. I thought we both forgave each other and moved on. The fights are usually over something small. 90% are not started by me. I'd have suggested therapy and counseling, but she always said we never needed it. Well, I had it last night. She picked a fight, saying I was spending too much time at work, and that she feels abandoned, and that I'm not a good father. She ended her rant with, "I want a divorce." I stood up and told her that the only reason I work so much is because she can't stop spending our money. We agreed to split the money into bills, future savings, future for our daughter, and fund money for things we don't need or use. She refused to get a job or go to school to help out. I provide for the family for my daughter. I'm always at her important dates, functions, doctor's appointments, anything she needs. She refused to get help through therapy or counseling. I don't want this anymore. I told her I'll have my lawyer send her the papers when they're ready. I got my daughter's things and left with her to my sister's. It has been 2 days, and she keeps calling and texting, saying she is sorry. She didn't mean it. She wants to go to counseling and therapy. She needs me. She misses me, etc. I don't know what to do. I love her. She is a good mother. But I can't do this anymore. Internet strangers, please help. Yes, I have a lawyer. For my family and work, I have known her since I was a teen. Hello all. Unfortunately, this is not a sunshine and rainbows update. I posted a few months back about how my wife kept throwing divorce in my face on a regular basis. That was until I said okay, got my daughter and left. I needed to vent, so I posted here. Check my profile for the original. To clarify some questions I've gotten, I'll refer to one of my comments on my original post. I want to point out some things that seem to have been missed or overlooked. I would do everything again if I had to, including taking my daughter. I have pushed my wife to go out, find a job, get a hobby, meet new friends, do something, anything. I asked about seeing someone for help. She would not listen or consider anything I presented. She kept saying no or that she wasn't the problem. My daughter is my priority. I don't fight with my wife in front of her or around her. I grew up in a bad household. I have been in the position where my dad got angry at my mom. My mom left and my dad took it out on me. I don't ever want that for her. I don't know what my wife was going to do that night. You can't force someone to get help. They have to want it, actually want it. If you force someone, they will go through the motions just to make it look like they change. I'm not blameless in this, but I can't raise my daughter with her thinking this is okay behavior, or that this is how relationships are supposed to be. I decided when I was young that I would never be like my dad. Okay, so after I made my post, I had a bunch to think about. I decided that I had to make sure she knew how serious I was. We sat down, and I flat out told her that I couldn't do this anymore. The fighting and threatening divorce had to stop. She agreed and said she would not say it again. I told her that the next time it was thrown out, it would be the last time. We agreed to go to couples therapy. It was eye-opening. Things were said, feelings were brought up, and outside professional views helped us understand each other better. After a few sessions, I thought we were doing better. She started to apply herself more. She looked and obtained a job, made some friends, and got a hobby. That was until an argument started because we had plans regarding our daughter that she overlooked and couldn't cancel the other plans she had made with some new coworkers. At what I considered the end of the argument, she said under her breath, "I knew marrying you was a mistake." I looked at her, and the thing I remember most is how I did not recognize the woman standing there. She looked different to my eyes. I didn't know who the woman in front of me was. I asked her to repeat herself. She said, I should have divorced you years ago. I walked away and took my daughter to the plans alone, just the two of us. I ended up filing for legal separation. Under the terms we both signed, it was agreed that while separated, we are still legally married and will not get involved with anyone during this time period. Finances would be separated, but bills would stay as currently split. I would still pay for insurance through work. Other things included in the agreement were that therapy sessions would continue both as individuals and couples. I moved in with my sister, and we had shared custody of our daughter, 70% with me, 30% with her. One day when I had my daughter, I needed my wife to take her. I let her know a week before, and she agreed. The morning of at 7:30, I went to drop her off at the house and noticed an unfamiliar car in the driveway. My first thought was that she must have a friend/girlfriend over. I rang the doorbell, out of respect, but still odd ringing your own doorbell. I waited with my daughter and a shirtless man, about 20, opened the door and asked who I was and what I wanted. I asked for my wife. He called her and she came around the corner in a row. Her face went from curious to shocked, horrified, and then sad. Needless to say, in 3 months' time, when the legal separation ends, I'm filing for a decree of dissolution of marriage. My daughter is safe. She doesn't understand what's going on other than daddy and mommy are not happy with each other. As stated above, she is my priority. I guess I did do the one thing I never wanted to do. The one thing I promised myself I would never become. But I guess it couldn't be helped. I ended up just like my parents. I don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. I hope I can just show how much love I have for my daughter and raise her the best I can. Now on to the next story. Am I wrong for insisting my sister uphold her end of our custody agreement? So there's a lot of backstory here. My sister Lily, 35F, had my niece, Emma, 9F, when she was 26. At the time, she was living with my parents along with her then boyfriend, and they had both just gotten out of rehab for heroin addiction. Both she and her boyfriend were not able to stay clean for long, and she was using throughout her pregnancy. When Emma was almost 2 months old, she came to me begging me to take Emma for 2 months, while she checked into rehab again to get clean. I was 22 years old, living in an efficiency apartment while putting myself through law school, but my parents insisted they couldn't care for an infant, and had suggested foster care to my sister, so I took my niece in. When my sister got out of rehab, she got back together with her boyfriend, who was still taking drugs, and thus began 5 years of a vicious cycle where one of them would get clean only to be dragged back under by the other. I took legal guardianship of Emma, although it was still supposed to be temporary. Every time Lily would bring up taking her back, I would agree on the condition that they both passed a drug test, and it simply never happened. When Emma was almost 6 years old, my sister came to me saying she was once again pregnant. This was the turning point for her, and she gave birth to my nephew, after having been clean for almost 8 months. Obviously, it was very hard for both me and Emma, going from her living with me to moving back with her parents. We went to court and worked out a custody arrangement where I still have Emma every weekend, but she spends a week with her mom and dad. We attended family therapy together for the first year, and once we settled into a routine, we stopped. Here comes the issue. My sister is once again pregnant, and she and her former boyfriend, now husband, say that they don't want to allow Emma to come with me on weekends because apparently, she comes home to them acting like a brat. I absolutely understand the issue. I explained to my sister that when Emma is with me, she is the center of attention, and going from that to having to fight her brother for her mom's limited attention between bouts of morning sickness has to be hard. I offered to take my nephew on weekends, as well to give my sister some rest, or to possibly resume family therapies so Emma could work through these changes. My sister simply told me that Emma would be taking a break from spending time with me. I let her have 2 weekends with Emma, and then when she continued to stonewall me, I threatened to take her to court. We have a custody agreement in place, and I am still one of Emma's legal guardians. She said I'm throwing the past in her face and won't let her be a real mother to Emma. I'm conflicted. I raised Emma for almost 6 years, and I treasure every moment I spend with her. But am I getting in the way? Emma calls me every evening and asks what we are doing over the weekend and why I don't have time for her. I think my sister is spinning it as me not wanting her to come. I just want what's best for Emma. To clear up some misunderstandings, Emma is now 9, and my sister has been clean for over 3 years. We transitioned Emma very slowly. She was with her parents every other weekend for a year. Then we had a 50-50 split, and now I have her on weekends. For those saying I'm making it difficult for them to spend family time on weekends, I've always been flexible, and if they told me they had weekend plans, I would absolutely let them take Emma. This is not about them wanting to do stuff with Emma. This is about them not wanting me to do stuff with Emma. They sent her brother to my parents' house Saturday and Sunday so they could unwind, and the past 2 weekends they sent Emma to her grandparents as well. So I don't see how it's that different if I take her. My sister is a stay-at-home mom. She does not work, so she has plenty of time with Emma. She is almost 300 pounds and rarely leaves the house, which always looks like a tornado hit. My parents purchased my sister a house when Emma was 3, in hopes that it would help with her being able to regain custody. With my brother-in-law working an IT job, they are able to make ends meet. I drive Emma to karate, swimming, and Girl Scouts every week, and I am in constant contact with her to make sure she is doing well. My brother-in-law has relapsed twice in the past 3 years, but he was kicked out of the house both times, so Emma wasn't forced to witness anything. For those saying that they are using Emma as a babysitter, I really don't think so. My sister rarely leaves the house, and I make sure Emma has lots of activities, because I think it's important that she is out of the house and active. Also, apparently they recently let her watch her 3-year-old brother for 2 hours, and she was so excited that they paid her $20. Edit. The comments about what might be happening at home with Emma really scared me. I reached out to the therapist Emma used to see and made an appointment for Friday after school. The way we always do appointments is she gets to talk to her therapist alone first, and then I come in and we talk together. I'm going to make sure she knows I will always have time for her and will always want her. I'm also going to ask whether she's happy living with her parents or whether she would prefer to spend less time there. Wish me luck, and thank you all for your feedback. Relevant comments. On the transition/how things happened, I would never let them sever our bond. We were very slow to transition her. They had her every other weekend for almost a year before we switched her primary residence. I know that I could easily get custody back. I'm a lawyer, and I not only know every loophole in the law, I know the people in the system, which is why I don't doubt I could regain custody if I thought that she wasn't safe. I just don't know if that's the right move. Emma makes it clear that she considers me a mom, but my sister harbors so much guilt for not being there and is trying so hard to be the best mother possible. It's hard to see the forest through the trees. We transitioned slowly, so they had weekends for the first year, then we had a 50-50 split for almost a year, and now it had weekends for almost a year. On Emma's behavior, she was doing really well until my sister got pregnant again. She loved having a little brother, and she had started calling my sister Mom for the first time. I'm paying for her to attend the private school she attended preschool and kindergarten in, and she was really doing well with a stable social group and teachers. Apparently, she started coming back from her weekends with me and wouldn't listen to her parents for the first 2 to 3 days of the week. By the time my sister felt Emma was following house rules, it was time for my weekend, and the cycle just kept repeating. And yes, my sister has openly admitted that she is jealous of me, not only of my bond with Emma, but also of the fact that I can financially afford to provide Emma with a lot that she can't. She says I spoil her, and I'll openly admit I do. She's my girl, and I want to give her the world. From what I understand, she simply doesn't listen when they tell her to do things like do the dishes or get off the iPad. It's hard because we don't really have the same dynamic. I have her out of the house all day during the weekend doing activities, and I don't let her have screen time except right after dinner sometimes. I have a dishwasher, so she just puts her dishes away, but I've never had any issues with her listening to me. Guilt. I had a lot of guilt associated with Emma calling me Mom. She called me Mom for the first 3 years of her life. Then my sister came to visit, and when Emma called me Mom, she had a breakdown, screaming, crying, and asking how I could let Emma think I was her mother. It really scared and confused Emma, and when my parents got involved, it was decided that Emma should call me something else, anything else. There is no consensus bought on ADA, but the majority of opinions seem to be NTA. Update. Hey, I've had so many people reach out for an update, but the last month has been so crazy. So in short, my sister gave birth, and I now have custody of all 3 children. I took Emma to an emergency therapy session, and she revealed a lot of mental manipulation that Lily had been doing. Apparently, my sister told her that she had to beg me to take her as a baby, that I had never wanted her, and that I gave her back as soon as I was able. Giving my sister credit where it's due, I did not originally want to take my niece in. I was in my first year of law school, living in an efficiency apartment in Flatbrook. The idea of caring for an infant, even for just a couple of months while in school, was scary, and I didn't know how I would manage. I relied heavily on government assistance and my parents. That didn't mean I didn't love her, or that I wanted to give her back. I was trying to do what I thought was best for her at every turn. After the therapy session, I filed for an emergency custody order, citing parental alienation, but also the ace up my sleeve, that my sister was using marijuana, which violated the conditions under which she could have custody. It's not legal in my state, and she doesn't have a prescription either, so I requested a drug test and a home visit, as I also cited the state of the home. I had said that the house was a mess, but it was to the point of being a health hazard and a hoarding situation. I was granted emergency custody, and CPS showed up at my sister's door the following Monday. I knew this much was going to happen. I said in my previous post that I was confident I could get custody back because I was aware of her use of weed. To be clear, I didn't see it as a problem. She gets migraines and uses it. However, I was not about weaponizing it if need be. This is where everything went off the rails unexpectedly. Some people in the last post said that I clearly dislike my sister. I don't. I love her, and I think that most of her troubles are due to her trusting nature and the people she surrounds herself with. However, I will be clear, I hate my brother-in-law. When CPS arrived, they found that my brother-in-law had been growing not only marijuana in the basement, but also psychedelic mushrooms. When they drug tested both of them, they found not only marijuana in their systems, but several other drugs, including fentanyl, which was probably laced with whatever they were using. They immediately removed my nephew and reached out to me to take him. They were both arrested on charges related to my brother-in-law's horticultural activities in the basement. I can honestly say I didn't see it. I knew she was depressed, but I didn't see any signs of her using again, and the fact that she was pregnant and using. Words can't express my betrayal. I adjusted to life with 2 kids very quickly, but I knew that she was going to have another infant soon. So I visited my pregnant sister in jail, and I made a deal with her. She gave up all parental rights to all 3 kids in exchange for me paying her bail and providing her with an attorney so that she had the best possible chance of avoiding jail time. Unfortunately, I had to also bail out my brother-in-law and pay for his attorney fees. She gave birth a week ago. Thankfully, she didn't have to give birth in jail, and thankfully my second nephew seems to be healthy despite her drug and alcohol use. I have full custody of Emma and both her brothers and am in the process of filing for legal adoption, which is far different than guardianship. I don't have doubts I will be successful, given both parents signed away their rights. I know I'm doing the right thing. The past has shown me that I don't want to be in limbo, waiting for her to be clean long enough to take the kids back. It has also proven to me that I can't trust her. I don't want to co-parent with someone who will lie and manipulate like she did. Emma is thriving. I have literally never seen her happier, and despite some sleepless nights, the baby and I are doing well. I worry most for my 3-year-old nephew, Ian. He is doing well so far, but I don't think it has sunk in that this is permanent. We will definitely be doing family therapy. I hope that I have covered everything. Thank you so much to everyone who convinced me that everything was not right with Emma. Without you, I don't like to think what could have happened. Edit. I have seen a lot of concern in the comments about my sister having another baby. It is very unlikely. The reason she had Emma in the first place was that she wasn't on any form of birth control because she thought she couldn't get pregnant. When she was a teenager, she had to have one of her ovaries removed, and the doctor said there was very little chance of getting pregnant. Emma was breech when she was born, so my sister had to have a cesarean, and thus she had cesareans with both other children. According to the doctor, when my latest nephew was born, there were complications, and due to extensive scarring in addition to only one ovary, the doctor told her that it's very unlikely she will have more children. It's not impossible that she could have another child, but the chances are so low that with everything else I need to worry about, I am choosing not to worry about that for the time being.